but this is going to be as close to an early season knockout as you can possibly get in the NFL. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Hard Foul Radio. Appreciate you for tuning in today. This is the show that values time, so let's not waste any. So everyone's going to be talking about today. Obviously, one of the games of yesterday was New England versus Tampa Bay. Tom Brady returning home. Tom was posting a bunch of videos. 20 years in one place, 6 championships, 10 Super Bowls. The legacy that Tom left there is obviously undeniable. There's no getting around it. But I didn't talk about it last week. And I specifically didn't talk about it last week because despite the legacy and everything that's going on, the fact of the matter is for that Sunday, Tom Brady and Tampa are one of the 5 best teams in football. Mac Jones in New England, they're not. Now, it turned out to be a really good game in terms of keeping it competitive or keeping it close. Now, it was rainy, which obviously makes it harder to run your offense, but enjoyable game nonetheless. Everyone's going to pick it apart today and say, oh, well, this proves Tom was right, or, oh, Bill did this. Like, just stop. Just stop. We didn't actually learn anything from this game. Understand, there's like 4 things that we already knew. Tom is the greatest quarterback of all time. That hasn't changed. Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach of all time. That hasn't changed. Mac Jones has a chance to succeed and look really good with that coaching staff, defense, and personnel. That was true coming into the game, looked good last night, and that is still true after the game. And then number 4, Tampa's just better than New England right now. Tampa did not play a really good game. New England played maybe their best game of the season, and Tampa still won. Now, as a fan, it was cool to watch guys treat it as more than just a regular season game, especially when you are team cliche in the New England Patriots. And you could see the guys, this was not just week 4 of the NFL season. This meant a lot to them. They were trying to beat Tom. Guys who had played with him, guys who hadn't played with him. Bill was trying to beat him. Tom was emotional during the game. Tom probably didn't play as well as he could have because of being emotional during the game. But that doesn't change the fact that we already knew everything going into this game. We didn't learn a whole lot coming out of this game. Like, I don't think New England, because they played Tampa Bay so tough, is now automatically one of the 10 best teams in the league because they can play with a top 5 team. Special circumstances, varying factors. It happens. It's okay. You can dissect it, break it down, do pie charts, whatever math you want to do to make you think, oh, I now know how good Tampa is or how bad Tampa is, or I know how good New England is. We didn't learn anything last night. It was just an enjoyable game. Then let's segue to a team that is going to have a really unique opportunity. So it's very rare that early season actually matters in almost any sport. It's almost rare that it matters in baseball, especially because there's 162 games. It's rare. Even if you get off to a slow start in basketball, there's 82 games. And there's references of both. Look at baseball currently. The St. Louis Cardinals had almost no chance to make the playoffs in the beginning of August. Now they're playing the NL wildcard game. I could go back in history. Look at the first year the Heat were together. They started 9-7. Still made it to the NBA Finals. So early season just doesn't matter in most sports. The one sport, though, that it does is the NFL. There's a stat that it's being 0-2 in your percentage of making the playoffs. I think it's still like 12 teams ever have done it. 0-2 and made the playoffs, which is just such a defining stat because 70-80% of these teams that go 0-2 just stink, and they're not making the playoffs anyway, and they're going much more than 0-2. But then, teams have 2-game losing streaks all the time. Like, good teams can have 2-game losing streaks. So why, if you lose your first 2, why does that matter going forward? I'm not even say that I have the answer. I'm just going with the statistics say you go 0-2 or 1-3 or you're under 500 through X amount of games. It's hard to make playoffs. The Buffalo Bills are going to have a really interesting opportunity this week. Now, the Bills have dominated. They've outscored their team. They've scored over 100 plus points and given up less than 20 the last 2 games. They're on a roll. Really, they're on a roll since week 1. And if they played the Steelers again, they would trounce Pittsburgh by 40. But they're going to have a very unique opportunity. The Bills are playing the Chiefs this week in what is going to be the game of the week easily. The Chiefs are 2-2. They beat Philly yesterday. What if Buffalo could beat Kansas City, which is absolutely possible, and then knock Kansas City to 2-3? Is that a knockout punch? Not necessarily. because it's the Chiefs. But is it the closest thing we're going to see to a knockout punch? Absolutely. Look at the division Kansas City's in. So Denver's 3-1 with its only loss being against a Ravens team after its starting quarterback got concussed and was out for the rest of the game. The Chargers and Raiders play tonight. The Raiders are either going to be 4-0 or both the Chargers and Raiders are going to be 3-1 as well. And there's a real chance next week, all three of those teams win again. So now what if Kansas City is looking up at 3 4-1 teams while they're 2-3? Now they're all division opponents, so they'll all get to play each other, but they've already lost to the Chargers once. The Raiders beat them last year, and Patrick Mahomes only threw 2 touchdown passes against Denver last year. So all three of the division teams know how to play Kansas City. I'm not saying it's a knockout punch. I'm not saying if Kansas City loses, they have no chance to make the playoffs, but this is going to be as close to an early season knockout as you can possibly get in the NFL. The rest of the AFC would love to see Kansas City down 2 games in the division 5 weeks in. Buffalo wants to see them 2 games down, 5 games in. Remember, Buffalo has struggled with Kansas City. Kansas City has knocked out, like Kansas City beat them in the regular season last year. They knocked them out of the playoffs last year. Buffalo doesn't want to see Kansas City come the playoff time because you presume that when they get to that point of the season, they're going to be full gear, and that's going to be the hardest to stop. Right now, defense is shaky. We've seen games where Tyreek Hill can be taken out, and you see the difference yesterday when Tyreek Hill can't be bracketed and played a certain way, and he's allowed to run all over the place, and he scores multiple touchdowns. How their offense looks versus what he can be bracketed, and you can play him, and then you've only got to worry about Kelsey, who Kelsey's great, but you would rather take Kelsey's 8 for 100 than Tyreek Hill's 8 for 2. Not saying the Chiefs can't make the playoffs if they lose this game, but this is going to be the closest we've seen to an early season knockout punch in a long time. We should all be rooting for the Buffalo Bills. At least I will be.